Oh, when you smiling, when you smiling, the whole world smiles with you.
First question is, how old were you during the civil rights movement?
Oh my goodness! Hold on, because I got to figure out now. That was in the '60s, right? Okay, use your figure out. I was born in 1911, so well, in the '60s. Can you figure out how I must have been in my late '50s, I guess.
Yeah.
Maybe in the '50s.
Where do you think you were living?
Where do I
Where
live?
where were you living?
In Philadelphia.
In Philly.
See, yeah, I had moved to Philadelphia during the war.
Mm-hmm.
I just stayed up there.
Was your community segregated? And if it was, how so was it?
Well, I grew up on the segregation in the South, but I had just moved to Philadelphia during the war, and I was there living not permanently. And it wasn't, I didn't realize any segregation there.
Mm-hmm.
Not anywhere in Philadelphia, I didn't.
Yeah, you weren't in school, no school.
I wasn't in school, no.
No.
I was married and had 5 children.
Was violence or repression ever directed against you personally?
No.
No. How were you influenced by the events of the civil rights movement?
You know, I thought it was real good. And I admired Martin Luther King and the way he went about it. I really did. I was influenced, and I thought it was good. And I went to different meetings with, where he spoke, and I was really impressed with him. And my brother-in-law taught him in college in Morehouse. And he said he really wasn't an exceptional student, but he was, very studious, but not what you call really smart. You know how people say brilliant. But he taught him at the Morehouse. But I was really influenced by it. I thought the way he went about it was just the right way, very, very much.
Do you think that, do you feel that progress is still being made today?
Sure. Oh, yes.
Yeah,
Oh, yes.
today.
Yes. Much nice. Oh, yes.
And what would you like my generation to know about that?
Your generation to know. Well, about segregation.
Yes.
Well, I'll tell you, my father was a taxpayer from back up in South Carolina from about 1905 that he came here. And he paid taxes, but we weren't allowed to use the public library. We went to separate schools, which were run-down schools and poor teachers. And then we weren't allowed to go to certain places. In the parks, we couldn't go in the parks, and they had a swimming pool, and we couldn't go in the swimming pool. So in that way, it was, it wasn't so good. It was a certain, and we go in the department stores, you couldn't use the restrooms. And if you were on the highway, you couldn't go in the restrooms. So it really was very inconvenient. But other than that, we had our own society, and we enjoyed ourselves just as much as in our, being segregated. We weren't tormented or anything by white people. In fact, your great grandfather had white patients that he took care of, and then his drug. We ran a drugstore. He had more white, uh, customers than black. Oh yeah. So it really didn't make it so bad. It wasn't that bad. Not to me when my mind goes back to it. We had segregated schools, and as I said, certain things. We couldn't go in the parks and play, and we couldn't go in the swimming pool that they had. Was run by the taxpayers in later years, when we were like early teens. And the children, the black children would stand around where they had the fence up wire, and the white children would throw water on. But they wouldn't let the black children go in the swimming pool and things like that. But we were accustomed to it. It didn't bother us that much. We knew where our place was. We stayed there. Okay.
The one place that the black community could swim during the days of segregation, my great-grandmother said, the water in the pond was so clear that you could throw a dime in it and see it land on the bottom. On Wednesdays, the Johnson drug store closed early to the entire Johnson family, and their friends rode over by automobile to the pond and enjoyed the afternoon. This was there where Mrs. McGhee learned to swim. Besides the pond, there was a pavilion with 2 levels. The first floor was used as a changing room for those swimming. The second floor had a stage and dance floor. Many famous African American entertainers performed there because they were not allowed to play in the other venues in the segregated South.
Violence, and Malcolm X was violent when it started off, when he started with the Black Panthers.
There were more so. They certainly
But then when he went over to Mecca, where they worship, he saw that there were people of all different colors and all who were.
Do you think the civil rights movement changed race relations in the U.S.?
Yeah, I think so. I think so. Because under Martin Luther King, I want to call your name. The white people were so sorry for the black people, and they were just so nice to them and everything. But see, then the black people turned on the white people. See, that's the strange thing. But when Martin Luther King was on his marches, the white people were being killed right along with the black people, down in Mississippi, though. And they were going with them, protesting with the black people. And I really thought it, we thought it did make a difference during the civil rights. And it did. The white people. I remember I went to City Hall in Philadelphia to hear Martin Luther King speak, and all those white people, they were just so nice and just so, they were just carried away. We were so sorry what happened. And when you stop to think about it, those people had nothing to do with slavery, or even separating the races. They weren't even born. Just like you wouldn't have anything to do with what's going on when you weren't even born at that time. That's the way I felt about it. Don't get mad with the people that's living now. They had nothing to do with the lynchings and all that, Past when I couldn't know anything. But anyhow, mother said one of her aunts was a house slave. See, in Augusta, they didn't have farms. People were slaves. I stayed in the houses and cooked for them and cleaned and everything. And said that her baby was sick. Now, this was Mama's aunt's sister. Said one of Mama's aunts. Her baby was sick, and the mistress's baby was sick too. So the mistress told her she would have to come over and take care of her baby and leave her own baby with somebody. And she said, when that happened, she said, well, I just wish my baby would die. So the baby died, and Mama said this, I always say, don't make a wicked wish. So Mama used to always tell us that, don't make a wicked wish. That's the only thing I remember them saying about slavery, So they were house slaves, because I imagine they were fair-skinned, so they used them for house slaves. That's all I know. But a whole lot of what they talk about, so much about it was so terrible. I know it was bad, but it wasn't. And segregation to me, I didn't know any different. I mean, we knew where our place was and we stayed in it. That's all.